Hi guys, and welcome to Premier Prediction Week 3, and we start with the early kickoff, 12:30, which is Spurs versus Liverpool. Spurs obviously getting their late winner last week against Crystal Palace, which should give them some confidence. Liverpool last week losing to Burnley, a bit of a different show to 2 weeks ago against Arsenal. I'm not too sure how they got on in the cup. I think they might have got kicked out actually. But again, I'm not sure. I didn't watch the cup. So going on to the Saturday's game. For this one, I think it's going to be quite tight. It's probably going to be the toughest test, the toughest test that Spurs have faced so far. But I'd say definitely the second one since obviously Liverpool played Arsenal. The second toughest test for Liverpool so far of the season. And for this game, I'm going to go Spurs 1, Liverpool 1. We then go to the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and we have Watford versus Arsenal, bit of a derby. I don't think Arsenal did too bad last week against Leicester. I do think that we did get away with one penalty shout. I think that Leicester should have been awarded a penalty right at the end, so we got away with that one a little bit. But on the whole, I thought Arsenal were the better side last week, and we just need to start putting our chances away, and we can start our season going, because 1 point out of a possible 6 is not really good enough at the moment. But I do think that we will have enough against Watford. I think we'll bring some main players back for tomorrow. Maybe Giroud will start, and Ozil will start as well. I think, as I say, so I think we'll have a little bit too much for Watford. Obviously, being at home, I think Watford might cause us a couple of problems. So I'm going to go Watford 1, Arsenal 2. We then have Chelsea versus Burnley. Chelsea have got off to a great start in their season. 6 points at the moment, looking really strong as well. Obviously, Burnley getting their confidence last week by beating Liverpool. But being as though it's at Stamford Bridge, I think that Chelsea will win this quite comfortably, to be fair. No disrespect to Burnley, but I think that Chelsea's got the better quality. I'm going to go Chelsea 2, Burnley 0. We then have Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth. And again, I spoke about Crystal Palace losing to Tottenham last week. Bournemouth just about losing to West Ham last week, and they could have made it 1-1, and then West Ham could have made it 2-0 up the other end of the pitch at the last kick of the game, but they just ended up losing 1-0. So again, I'm going to go for quite a tight one for this one. I'm going to go for the home advantage. I'm going to go Crystal Palace 1, Bournemouth 0. We then have Everton versus Stoke. Everton's starting to play some good football now under Ronald Koeman, scoring a couple of goals here and there as well. Stoke getting a complete battering against Manchester City last week. I mean, they're going to be such a force this year, Manchester City, and it was quite a close game actually until up to the second half, and then Manchester City just went all guns blazing out and they absolutely smacked them. A bit of a different kind of opposition tomorrow. I think Stoke might stand a chance tomorrow. I'm going to go Everton 1, Stoke 1. I do fancy Stoke to get something there. We then have Leicester versus Swansea. Again, I spoke about Leicester. They haven't really impressed me so far, Leicester, at the moment. As I said, they didn't really play their best last week, and they definitely didn't play their best against Hull. But I think that they probably will win tomorrow, because they're at home again tomorrow. And I think that they probably have got a little bit more better quality than Swansea, and they want to probably start kick-starting their season now. So I think they're just about going to nudge it. I'm going to go Leicester 1, Swansea 0. We then have Southampton versus Sunderland, and again Southampton not doing too bad this year. Sunderland again looks like it's going to be another struggle for them this season. I think they got battered to Middlesbrough last week, which was quite surprising to me. I'm going to go for the home advantage again. I'm going to go Southampton 2, Sunderland 1. We then have the 5:30 kickoff, which is Hull versus Manchester United. Manchester United showing that they're a completely different animal this year. They really look like they mean business. Zlatan shows that the Premier League hasn't knocked him at all. He's doing really well. As I said, he's got a lot to offer to football still. Even though it is at Hull, I think that Manchester United is going to be too strong for Hull. I'm going to go Hull 0, Manchester United 2. We then have the Sunday kickoffs, which is West Brom versus Middlesbrough at 1:30. And again, I'm going to go for a tight one for this one, even though Middlesbrough did win last week in the derby, which would give them confidence. But I think it'll be a different kind of approach for this one against West Brom. I'm going to go for a tight draw. I'm going to go West Brom 1, Middlesbrough 1. And then to finish off the weekend, we have Manchester City versus West Ham. And I don't think, again, I've said this the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that Manchester City will batter West Ham. I think West Ham are quite tough and physical at the back and in midfield, but I think they will edge it and win. I'm going to go Manchester City 2, West Ham 1. So that concludes this week's Premier League predictions video. I won't be here next week because obviously it's the international break, so I will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next predictions. So until then, take care, guys. Hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you in 2 weeks.